Good morning. This is Camaro Brews. Could be good evening when you view this clip. I'm just here to talk briefly about one of the big reasons why, if you have motorcycles or you have them in your collection, why it's just so bad for them to sit. This is a 1980 Yamaha XS 1100 Midnight Special. I purchased this bike about 6 years ago, and I rode it a fair amount in the beginning on some longer cruises. It was running decent. The front brakes always were a little bit grabby. And so, with some of the other classics and other motorcycles, I started riding them a little bit more. And this bike had a tendency of just getting ridden once or twice a year, and the brake problem became a little bit more. When you'd apply the front brakes, they really wouldn't want to release. Going down the road probably helped it, but just driving around here on the gravel, and it started to get real hazardous. But they really progressed in getting worse over the winter time, along with the carburetors, because this bike didn't sit inside. This is some of the brake fluid that we flushed, all the particles and debris. But what really happened that was really bad is they literally, when I brought it down to the shop to work on, the brakes just, after I touched them a touch, locked up. And when we took apart, Neil's been working on this. This had a lot of debris, white crud in it. Same inside the piston was really dirty. So, we've taken them apart, cleaned them, but when it got time to put them back together, all the seals were too big. They wouldn't stay on. So now I'm going to have to buy a brake kit just to rebuild the master cylinders. And this involves a lot of time. Neil said, in reality, you should flush brakes every couple years, flush the fluid, put new .4 fluid. But I'm going to have probably 3 or 4 hours in doing this process, as well as having to buy the kit. And now that it's sat, when we started up, it just wasn't running very good because it sat. So we'll have to take the carburetors all apart, clean them, rebuild them. And, fortunately, I have Neil, the mechanic that works on all my bikes for me. He's an ace at doing this. He knows how to do it inside out. But, you got to pay your guys to work on it, buy some new parts, whereas just ride your bikes, do the good maintenance on it, and you won't be stuck with having to, the carburetors are another 3 or 4 hour process, and when it's all done, I'll have to probably put $300 or $400 of parts and labor in it. Anyway, when you have these old bikes, ride them, and they're such a pleasure to ride them. I know there's reasons why not to. When you're going to store them, put fuel stabilizer in them. When you bring them out in the spring, every couple years, flush the brake fluid. There's just a lot, and I purchased this bike here, and it's going to be the same thing. It sat. Fortunately, the brakes are okay, but we'll flush the brake fluid in it, change the oil. We're going to have to take the carburetor apart. Other things, petcocks, the seals get bad in them, especially these bikes have vacuum petcocks on them, and you have to work. Whereas some of the bikes I bought weren't in very good condition that we're working on, and these 2 Suzukis here, they were bought from a collection that the guy took care of them. And this spring, it's just going to show. I'll have Neil flush the brake fluid, change the oils, and I ride these motorcycles. I ride them quite a bit, and that is so enjoyable, and it does your heart good getting out and cruising on them. Anyway, a lot of work on the Yamaha, and we'll get it to a condition so that it looks like this. This bike we cruise on all the time. everything works really, really good on it. The same with the other classic bike over here. They're just, it's nice. They're kept inside in a controlled climate, but they're ridden. And I've been riding these two classic bikes, the Z1 and the 82 1100. I've been riding them, 10 times a year. We cruise a couple 100 miles on them. I ride them back and forth to work, and they just work. And I don't have problems with them because I ride them. Hope this helps anybody who's got bikes in storage or is thinking about purchasing a bike, knowing what you're going to be up against. That's a bike that's sat. A lot of times there'll be rust in the tank, and then you're dealing with a whole nother animal as well. Anyway, Camaro Bruce, just talking a little bit about anything, sharing some tips on how to take care of your classic motorcycles. And the spring's coming up. Happy riding to everybody. And Camaro Bruce, see ya.